Okay, welcome to Front End Columbia Meetup. This is feedbacking a little bit. Let's get right into it. We have a couple sponsors, Iron Yard, which actually the local one here meets right in this room. Their classroom is this room. And then SoCo, which is the building you're in. And there's another SoCo location downtown off of Gervais, thank you.
Right above Jason's Deli.
Yes, right above Jason's Deli. Wonderful people, great spaces to work in. This is another one of their spaces. You can sign up and have like a space you can work, or you can actually pay a little bit more and have a permanent place to work. You can like leave all your stuff there. And there's more to it. Obviously, I can't describe it as well as the people who actually do it, but it's really great, and they're sponsoring us, so that's awesome. Okay, so who am I? I am Ryan Menner. I work for, well, I'm a designer and a front-end thingamabobber. I think you'll find that with pretty much anybody. They've got such a mixed match of different skill sets that, what's a front end developer? What's a back end developer? We just, we have to do it all. So it doesn't matter to people who employ us. They just want the job done. So I work at Muscle and Strength, their online supplement retailer. MuscleandStrength.com is my baby. I do all the front end work for Muscle and Strength. And a fun fact, I've been playing guitar since I was 6. So every meetup I'll throw something unique. The first time was actually do custom drones. So, but I thought this was more fun this time. So, okay, JavaScript higher order functions. By the way, any people that just walked in, we got pizza and soda out there. Feel free, and anybody, if you guys get hungry or thirsty or whatever, I don't mind you getting up and going out and grabbing something to drink, and it'll help you focus better. So, at least food does that for me. Okay, so functional programming. I know we were talking about higher order functions, but for you to understand higher order functions, you kind of have to understand functional programming. So a couple of things. You can write less code with less bugs and less time. It really is a game changer. Pretty much just reading my slides at this point, but it says exactly what I wanted to say. So. I can't really describe. Once I show you, you'll understand, basically. Also, it makes it a whole lot easier to read when you do functional programming. And that's thanks to this, composable. If you haven't heard of the word composable before, the definition of composable is compatible or possible in conjunction with another. So basically, the gist of that is you write functions in such a way that you have a whole bunch of little smaller functions and they fit into a bigger function and do a big job. Anyways, enough talk. Let's get to some code. So we're going to be covering, I'm just going to go over a basic function first off, just so you can kind of, if there's anyone that isn't super familiar with JavaScript, there's some unique things that JavaScript does with functions, and then we'll go over the higher order functions, filter, map, and reduce. Okay. Let's see if this will, okay, there we go. Okay, the basic function, let me make this nice and big. Everybody see that okay? It's very big text. So I've got a basic function here. It's going to take a number and it's going to times it by 2 and spit it back out. So let me just run this. 80. Now, if you're familiar with any kind of programming language, you've probably seen something similar to this. Some kind of a function that accepts a value or something and takes that and you do something with it and spit it back out or not. Now, the unique thing about JavaScript functions is functions are values. So let me explain. So let's do this. Let's just take this and run it. Still works. Now, you can do some even weirder things. You can be like var equals foo. Actually, that's backwards, foo. And then double, like that. And then we'll just, instead of console logging out, actually you can actually run both of them. Let me do both here. And I broke something.
You use double.
Yes, I did. Thank you. And there you go. You've got 80, 40. Those are both referring to the same function. Basically, you're passing this anonymous function into that variable, and then you can just sling that around and just morph it into a different function or whatever. JavaScript's crazy. It's all over the place. That is the basic function. That allows us to actually use functions as values and stick them into bigger functions like higher order functions. So that allows us to make very composable code, because you can write something like this and you can have it just do one thing, which doubles whatever number you give it, and you can take that and go and run with it and spit that, and you can put that into everything else, and I'll give you more examples here. So let's get right into it. Filter. This is really big. Hopefully you guys can still see everything here. You guys need me to turn off the lights? Would that help? You think that would help? Okay. As long as you guys can see, okay? So I've got this array of objects here, and basically we're going to take that and we're going to just grab the dogs. We're going to get rid of the dogs. So here it is in a normal for loop, just pretty vanilla. You take an iterator here, you define it starting from 0, and you take that and you say until it is greater than the length of what we're iterating over, and then you add 1 to it each time it goes through the loop. And each time it goes through the loop, it says, okay, animals at this point in the array, does it equal dog? Yes or no? If it does, push it into the dogs array. So I'll just run that real quick. There we go. We have our dogs. And if I were to actually, actually I don't think this does destroy that. Just show you both here. Yeah, it doesn't destroy it. So it is non-destructive, I think. Yeah, Goofy is still in there. Okay. So, okay, I'm going to comment this out, and we're going to use filter now. Okay. Now, filter accepts a function or like a value, accepts one value, and it expects a true or false from that value. So we're just going to put a function in here. And we can say like animal going to Let's run this again. We still have our docs down there. So it does the same thing. Yep, exactly the same thing. So basically, each time it goes through, and I can actually put console log in here. So each time it goes through each and every single item in the array of objects, and it goes in there and says, okay, whatever it is, and then whatever matches that, it spits the output of what passed as true into the dog's variable. So now when we're talking about composition-wise, we can completely take this out of here and do something like var is dog, that, and just pass is dog, and I broke it. What did I do? Wrote everything down because I knew I was going to make a mistake somewhere. You know what? It's because I don't think I need to. There it is. I was overthinking it. Because it actually it holds all of that stuff when it passes it through to the variable. Like I said, I'm a designer here, showing you how to use JavaScript, so bear with me here. I mean, you can see how this becomes very powerful. You can have this filter, and you can just, it's very short and concise. If I undo some of this stuff here, I'll kind of show you, like, and I went way, way, way too far. So if I compare these two, this is 66 characters, and this is 126 characters. So, I mean, you're writing considerably less code. You don't have to worry about messing up anything inside of it because filter is going to take care of all of that. And I just realized I didn't copy the actual size here. 81 characters, but that's still huge, giant difference. You can technically go even further than that and make it even smaller with arrow functions, but I'm not going to cover that today because it opens up a whole other can of worms here. I don't personally use them in my everyday because they're not part of regular JavaScript yet until ES6 comes out. So, anyways, there's filter. Let's move right along to map. So, got my same animals array here, and we're going to do a little something different. We actually want to get every single name in it, and not just like spit out a couple specific ones. So a little bit different job. We want to get all the names of all the species. So pretty simple, not much different from the other for loop I showed you, but it is still a lot more moving parts than this will be. Okay. Here we go. So map accepts a function as well, or a value, but instead of like a Boolean value, true or false, it's going to want a transform back. It wants some data back through it because it's going to send that back into names. So let's take Final. Turn. And boom, nothing changed. Looks exactly the same. Now, what's powerful about map is you can technically do a who's transform to the information that comes back out. I mean, this is a pretty common thing that you'd be trying to do is take a subset of a list. You want to pull out. I mean, you can even chain these together and be like, okay, I want all the names from all the dogs. And you can, because you can actually chain this stuff together. Wasn't sure if I was going to go down this rabbit hole or not, but see if this will work the way I'm thinking it will. So inside here, just do species equals, let's do again. Okay, so once it's done filtering it, then it'll spit out the names. No, it won't. So I did something wrong, of course. Forgot my pass-through. Here it is. It worked. Whew. Almost had a heart attack there. So this is called chaining, and this makes JavaScript very powerful because you can take little functions and have them outside of your main chain and make it very, very composable. Filter, map, and you just keep on chaining all these things until you have your end result, and it's just a whole bunch of little steps. Yes?
And so if anyone has used jQuery, you've seen this before, and now you have some idea about a hint of what's going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you ever use jQuery, unless you're me, I totally didn't know about chaining for way too long, and I just had everything iterated out on extra lines. Super bulky code, but chaining, once I figured out chaining, I was like, what have I been doing? Anyways. Okay, so now we're going to take it a step further. This is like, so only way I can describe reduce as like the multi-tool of these things. You know, like filter and map are very specific. They have specific things they want returned. There's not a whole lot of customization you can do to them. Well, there's no customization. They do exactly what they're supposed to do. Very nice and lightweight for what you need them to do. But say you need something to do something different. That's where reduce comes in handy. So here again I have the for loop example of what we're going to do. We're going to take everything in that in there and add all the numbers together so you get the total amount. So let's just go ahead and run that. And there you go. Pretty simple, straightforward. I think at the end of this, reduce may be not as small or not very much smaller than this, but because it is a multi-tool, it doesn't have some of those slimmed out kind of things as map and filter does, but yeah, it'll save you a ton of headaches because it's just, once you throw in those arrow function pieces, reduce can be very small. Okay, so let's comment this out. So, equals. So now reduce is different from map or filter in that it accepts more than one argument here. I think it's like 3 technically, I think. Trying to think. Anyways, let me just write it out here and you'll see what I mean here. So So this is where everything's going to be stored as it goes through each one of its iterations. And this is the actual, this is the order itself. And then at the end here, we actually give it a starting value. And you'll see why this is extremely powerful later on. There you go. I mean, it's a whole lot easier to read, that's for sure. It's not necessarily smaller than its for loop counterpart. We've got about 84 characters, and this one's about 96. So not that much different, but what would you rather read, that for loop or this with nice words? And not a whole bunch of shortened like iterators and stuff. So now I'm going to show you the full power of reduce. So I have a new set of data here. This is I grabbed it off of, there's actually if you need sample data, it's not too hard to actually find like a sample data generator online. I'm trying to remember the exact URL that I used to make this, but anyways, we've got a list of employees, what department they're in, and like their employee number. Give or take, I don't know what that could be, maybe a pin, which probably shouldn't have that saved in a data string somewhere. But yeah, it's just random data. So we've got Martha Kent there. I just noticed that. Anyways, Smallville. Any fans?
Would you mind doing the other one, like with the console log to show? Like,
Yes. Let me the reduce one.
Yeah.
Yes, I was actually going to do that, and I forgot about it in my notes here. So you guys can see each one of those values each time. We've got, so just put a little dash in there so we can see each piece. There's the sum and the order. Okay, so each time it goes through, it's pretty cool. I mean, you've got the starting number, and then each time it goes through, it's pulling each one of those amounts out of the array. So if that makes any sense, I'll try to. Let's actually just do this. So we've got the sums each time it goes through, and then the order it's pulling each time, and then adds it up at the end, and it all finishes off. So you can kind of start to understand the power of this, because not only does it accept values, but we can actually start with an object. That's where I'm going to go into next here.
So each time it returns that, it comes to the sum for the next sum.
Correct. So each time it goes through the loop here, it's actually passing it into sum and holding on to that value until the next time, and it keeps on going through. And it doesn't necessarily have to just add to sum. There's a whole bunch of other stuff you can do with that, having that value accessible, which we're actually going to make an object literal here. So we have our list of data here, and actually prepared what we're actually going to turn it into. We're going to turn it into this nice object literal separated by departments. So if everything goes well, we'll have that at the end of this. I think I'll just make a new tab here. That way I don't have to get rid of that tab or hide any of this extra stuff. Okay, so let's start here. So first off, we kind of have to order this data a little bit better, and I'm going to start using chaining right off the bat. I'm also going to show you another, it's not a higher order function, but it's a very powerful, helpful function when you're dealing with strings like this. It's called split. So, actually, we're actually going to use map actually inside of there, use split. Because we have each one, because this is like an array of strings. So we're going to use map to go through every single item in the array and split out each one of these into it. We're just going to call it, let's call it line. Oh, that's always fun. Now we got color. Thank you, syntax highlighters. So let's go ahead and test this here. Make sure it's doing what we want. No, it's not. It's something. Let's do something.
Should it be data.split?
It should be line.split, not item. In my notes it has item. I changed it last second. So there we go. Now we have each item separated out by the pipe. So now we have an array of arrays, and inside of those arrays is strings of each of our pieces there. So now we can chain on reduce. And we've got, let's say, departments. I'm just going to abbreviate it. Because we want to separate by departments. And then we've got our line, and then our function. And inside of there, instead of passing it, say, like a starting like number, I'm actually going to pass it an empty object. So this should actually return nothing. Yep, undefined. So let's start with, let's just return our value here. Just make sure that stuff's running here. Yep, we've got an empty object we can start from. So department, we need to go in there and actually access our line. And if you're not familiar with how arrays work, it's actually starts at 0. So we actually have in each one we have like 0, 1, 2. So I actually want to get the department. And we're going to, inside of there, create a new array. So let's go ahead and see what that looks like. There we go. So as you can see, we're starting to build it up. We've got development, accounting, sales, marketing. Not too bad. Just keep on going. We need to take at each one of those and put our lines in there now. Or our employees, I should say. And we're going to put that. So we need to make sure that it goes into the same spot. So we'll do line 1 again. We'll use push, which is all of these are objects on the array, on an array. I should have mentioned that before. Filter, map, reduce. Split isn't. Split actually is on a text or string. Thank you. So we'll just push each one of these new items in here. So we'll just make an object inside of there and label these. So we know we want the names at line 0, which is point on here is, so that's be 0, and then we need to do 2 to get their pin. You can see I use my mouse too much. I'm not a true developer because I don't tab around everywhere. And look at that, I made a mistake already. That should be 2. And I need commas behind each one. Let's see what happens here. Okay. Forget for somewhere. This is a little hard to read. Actually, show you a little trick here. Let's call this output. Use some JSON. Do I already have it in here? More than I wanted. JSON.stringify. And pass it some stuff here. Output. No. I've completely forgotten what each one of these array areas is, so you have to look that up for JSON Stringify if you want to know the other parameters for this. I just use it like this all the time, so there we go. A little easier to read now. You can see we've got this figure here. So there's each one of our sections of that's really small. Development, we've got an employee in there, accounting, sales, marketing. But I just realized actually, it technically would have been done by now, but I made a mistake because each time it goes through, it's overwriting each one of those objects at development and accounting and sales, and we're just getting the last one basically. So if we were to look back at this list here, let's see, what's development? Last one in development should be Daniel. Yep, Daniel Flores. So it's overwriting Martha Kent. So let's go in here and fix that. It's right at this line here. So you can actually pass in the same object. So basically, we're going to say if there's no I can't think of the term it's called right now, but if there's nothing there, make a new one. If not, use the existing one. So that's what we're going to do. So now it will use the existing one here or make a new one. Now, if we look at these, nope, I still made a mistake somewhere. Oh, wait, no, actually, no, that's actually right. I made it easier to read, but it's so big I can't see it all. Okay, so now we have our finished object literal. And you can see how that could be very handy, because that's a little bit more, you can pass that right in and use that and get to each one of the sections because you've labeled everything. It's really easy to kind of get around your object now. And you've taken that from just a pretty unusable string, really, for any kind of output of any data onto anything. That is pretty much my talk right there. Any questions? Any other questions? Hopefully you guys liked it. Not a big crescendo at the end there, but making a big, data object, real fun, Let me stop.
That split is actually really useful. I use that to, I built a news scroller, a JavaScript news scroller that scrolls news stories and
Okay.
graphics, and it draws from a database. And I use the split function to split it to do a tagging and have to limit database. And
Yep.
I use the split function tab.
Exactly.
To break up that database into, so I can determine what graphic to use and what image to each iteration.
Yeah.
That's what I use.
Any other functions you guys like to use besides split? Anyone else use JavaScript to that extent? You can see some gears turning.
Could you contrast like how push and concat work or when changes the way they
Yeah.
That's the only one I think I would use.
Let's see. See if I can do this off the top of my head here. So let's take it on. Let's take it on here. So this is hello world. So that has to be typed at least one time during a presentation. So let's see. So you can kind of see here actually gives you a little description. Thank you, Sublime. It can concatenate one or more items or arrays into the current one. So say we want to add another item there. It's got a name for me. A good name.
Bingo.
Bingo.
He's a fish.
He's a fish. Okay, I like that. I don't have any fish in there, do I? Now I do. Let's see if this will work the way I'm expecting it to. No, it does not, because I need to. I think I need to take. That moment when you can't remember how concat works. How does concat work, sir?
Okay, so that actually illustrates the point like with push, we kept on putting it into the same array. So if for some reason you don't want to change the array, like intentionally you don't want to change it, like that proved you did. So concat will actually give you a new array that has the animals plus the fish.
Okay, so I actually need to add the current array as well.
So if you assign that to a new variable.
That's right.
So that actually that perfectly illustrated the point. So
There it is. There it
So
is.
if for some reason you wanted the original one and the new one both evened out,
Could you do animals equals animals dot concat to concat the original one?
well, then you could just, then you could just push yes, yeah. So this would be the case where for some reason you don't want to overlay.
You could console log.
Yeah, so that's just all it's a push.
That works just like
Let's do a push example just to. Let's see the difference. So there's a big difference. It actually turned it into 9. It's giving us back 9, so it's actually giving us back the amount of objects we have. 7, 8, and because we added this one here, it's then 9 as well. So that's not exactly the way push works. Alright. Yes, that is what I did wrong.
Yeah, because that turned out pretty useless.
You can tell I am very well versed in functional programming. I'm just a pro. Yes. So there we go. We got 2 fish now. Both named Bingo. They're going to fight it out for who's alpha fish. Bingo. Pretty much the same. But yeah, that is the nice thing with concat is you can actually store it in a new variable. And there's our differences between those two. So you guys got a couple extra functions tonight, but I'll go ahead and